Yeah, cash money, heroes, private jets, polish.
And I kind of have just a weird topic of if cheerleading should be a sport or if it shouldn't. That kind of wrapped me into it, but I'm gonna do it, and it's actually pretty interesting. I looked into it a lot. And so first off, I'd like to say what a sport actually is defined as, and a sport is defined as an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others. It's governed by the rules which explicitly define the time, space, and purpose of the contest and the conditions under which a winner is declared. The primary purpose of the competition is a comparison of the relative skills of participants. So, pretty much, just like it says, sport is when an individual or a team competes against each other and is explicitly defined by the time and space. So, I'll start off with those of why it should be. Stop! Thank you. And old movies portray cheerleaders as giggly girls in short skirts looking for a date with a football quarterback. In the real competitive world, who is this? No. Okay, old movies portray cheerleaders as giggly girls in short skirts looking for a date with a football quarterback. In the real competitive world of today's cheer squads, nothing could be farther from the truth. Boys and girls alike are drawn to the athletic, high-energy sport that involves strength, agility, and teamwork. What a lot of people don't know is cheerleading actually got its start as an all-male activity at college football games in the late 1800s, and women joined in the 1920s, and it eventually became predominantly a female activity, which most everybody knows now. But there are a lot of yell leaders and stuff, and in the 1980s and 1990s, cheerleaders started to perform increasingly difficult stunts and to incorporate tumbling and gymnastics into their routines. The teamwork involved in cheerleading is unlike any sport. In cheer, every athlete is important at every moment. Everyone has a role, and nobody is a star. All of your team members are depending on you. And this is a quote, so I disagree with that statement big time because in every sport, teamwork is vital. Unless it's individual, but I mean, athleticism is vital in the sport, and tumbling is a big part of the all-star cheer with flipping, cartwheels, back tucks, and stunting, all requirements in competitive routines. Bases and tops needed strength and body awareness. They have to go hard for 2.5 minutes. When the music starts, they have to be ready to go. So, and if you're asking, yes, I am outside. People are driving by. They're probably laughing at me, looking at me, talking to the computer screen. But my dog's really annoying. So hopefully they leave and run away and never come back. Back on topic. Spirit is another component in cheerleading. Audiences at competitions often comment on the close relationship between competing teams. And the graduation is, you could always be a volunteer coach like in anything else, or you can try out for professional teams like the Eskimo Cheer Squad, and there are also competitive clubs where you can still participate. Private gyms such as Perfect Storm Athletics, Cheer and Dance, where Leanne is a co-owner, along with Diane and Jim Greenhoff, offer lessons for all ages 3 and up. A lot of those quotes were from Leanne. Now I'm going to give you some myths. Myths are pretty fun, and I mean, myth number 1. Bam. Nice visual effect there for you. Cheerleading is one of the most dangerous athletic activities. This is one NCP fact to marvel over, since prior to the influx of headlines about the risk involving cheerleading, they were under the impression that cheerleaders couldn't or shouldn't rather get hurt. While this reaction certainly justifies a gasp and a sigh, it also deserves an addendum about how serious our industry is about safety. and that was from the NCCSIR, the National Center for Catastrophic Sport Injury Research. But that myth has been busted. Despite what's been reported in the recent years, safety awareness and risk management have evolved with the increasingly athletic nature of cheerleading, in addition to designating March as a cheer safety month. Coaches, educational and safety organizations such as the American Association of Cheerleading Coaches and administrations, gotta say that 4 times fast. So, 3 other recent studies that include cheerleading look at injury rates using reports by trained medical staff show that cheerleading is actually at or near the bottom of the sporting chain. So, but when one person from the cheerleading gets hurt, it's equivalent to like probably 20 people in football getting hurt, because there's so many less cheerleaders, and which makes the percent increase. So myth number 2, band. Nice little feature on my Cybernlink UCam. Thank him for being here today. Brutus, knock it off. I'll go over there. Look at that dog. Right over there. Gosh, I wish he just went on. Okay. Myth number 2 is cheerleaders aren't athletes. They say that cheerleaders aren't athletes, but that's a terrible statement. That is totally busted, because although there are some parts of the world where the concept of cheerleading hasn't quite reached its full potential, there's no denying in its evolution from peppy students jumping up and down along the sidelines of a football game to the toned guys and girls throwing high-level tumbling passes and circus-worthy stunts today. Based on teams we've interviewed for this magazine, the average amount of time cheerleaders dedicate to training and conditioning falls between 6 to 20 hours a week. Cheerleading demands the same amount of strength, if not more, than any other sport. There are very few sports where you need to be strong in the ways that are needed to be a successful cheerleader. They regularly lift people over their heads and twist their bodies in all over sorts and whatnot. So, myth number 3, terrible one. All cheerleaders are airheads. Even though airhead is a candy, I hope they're not candy. That is busted. Cheerleading has proven to serve one heck of a breeding ground for high achievers. We're talking U.S. presidents who are quick to point out that involvement in a spirit program is what helped establish a good study habits, powerful people skills, and ability to juggle multiple comments successfully. 90% of cheerleaders were B students or better, and almost half were A students. 98.5% plan to go to college when they graduated high school. 43% played at least one other sport, and more than half participated in non-sport-based activities. Approximately 25% held other leadership roles at school, including being captains of school, sports teams, class officers, and student government leaders. Alrighty. Myth number 6, cheerleading is a waste of time. Tens of thousands of people probably do think that cheerleading is a waste of time. All they do is nothing and just jack around. But that's not true. Tell any cheerleader, cheerleading is not a waste of time. They bring a lot of school spirit, and they can make your school a lot of money by winning competitions and whatnot. So, Dad's looking at me funny. He's in a blazer. There he goes, right over there. In a blazer. He looked at me funny. He had a beard. Okay, now we're going to get to the cons of why cheerleading shouldn't be a sport. Faced with a growing gender balance on its playing field, the University of Maryland proclaimed itself as a pioneer when it added competitive cheerleading as a varsity sport in 2003, predicting that other Division I schools would follow the Terrapins' lead. To date, only 5 have. But all of this stuff, this Maryland thing, cheerleading is not considered a sport. They tried a lot, but there's this thing called Title Title IX, which was enacted, and that just pretty much says that cheerleading can't be a sport, and they can't recruit on cheerleading people. So the potential benefits extend far beyond trophies and varsity letters. Studies have shown that girls who play sports get better grades, graduate at higher rates, exhibit more confidence and self-esteem, and are less likely to have unwanted pregnancies. That cheerleading can be athletic and competitive, but it doesn't count as a sport when universities are counting up male and female athletes to comply with Title IV, or federal gender equity law. That was the conclusion in a class action suit on behalf of female athletes at Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut. The school planned to eliminate women's volleyball as well as men's golf and outdoor track to save money. But it added a competitive cheer squad and counted its 30 members to show the percentage of athletes who are female in its proportion to the percentage of students who are female, one way complying with the law. U.S. District Judge Stefan Underhill agreed with the volleyball coach, ruling the school discriminated by failing to provide equal athletic participation opportunities for women. Competitive cheerleading is still too underdeveloped and disorganized to be treated as an offering genuine varsity athletic participation, he concluded. And that female runners on 3 different teams, indoor, outdoor, and cross-country track, could not be counted more than once. That was one several ways the school had inflated the number of female athletes or undercounted male athletes, the judge concluded. Institutions are sometimes not due diligence in respect representing the actual numbers on the roster. This case sends the message that such manipulation won't be tolerated, says Sean Latta, president of the National Association of Girls in Women's Sport. So that Title IX, it's kind of, I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe if it's a good thing if you don't want cheerleading, but it's a bad thing if you are a cheerleader and you really think that it should be a sport. And I mean, just some people think cheerleading should be. And I mean, I'm that middle. I don't really care. I'm gonna make some confetti come in. Alright. Some reasons why it shouldn't be sport. Rules govern the sport that explicitity, quantity with objective criteria, the conditions under which a winner is declared. Postseason qualifications are earned based on the same model as other sports, such as basketball or gymnastics. Regular practices are conducted under the supervision of the coach in preparation for such competition. Cheer and dance teams may sporadically act like sports teams when, for example, they engage in championship competitions, but the mere existence of a lone end-of-season competitive opportunity does not transform an activity into a sport. So I'm supposed to tell you my opinion on it, and my opinion is, I think it should just be considered an activity, and in their heads it has it as the sport, but I mean, the only thing I think is sport activity, not really much of a difference. And a lot of people think about golf. I know Black doesn't like golf, but he likes playing it on his own club. But I'm gonna say no. Thumbs down.